You might be asking the question is, can process goals actually help improve sports performance? And you might be thinking also is like, well, what kind of process goals, what should I actually be doing to help improve my performance when I want to play better in my sport? Well, that's what we're going to be looking at today, and so don't go anywhere. I'll be with you very shortly. Hey there, Tiff here. Welcome to Ambition Habits. Lovely to see you here again today. So the big question around that is like, what can we actually do? What kind of process goals could we actually be focusing on different areas in our sport? What we're doing, like from a training perspective, from a practice perspective, from a performance perspective, and so on. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be looking at that. I've got heaps of information here for you, so I'm looking forward to sharing that with you. So you better get your notepad and pen ready for this one. So the first one, let's have a look at training and practice goals. So things that we could be looking around that. So the first thing around that we could be looking at is skill development. So what do I mean by skill development? So the thing about that is like technique improvement. So what are you looking at from your technique? What are areas in which you could be working on to improve your technique that's actually going to help you perform better? Second part of that is the repetition. Can you actually repeat that? Right? So once you've done a good like kick or a good tee shot or a good serve or whatever it may be, that technique that you're doing, like I'm playing lawn bowls at the moment, it's actually repeating the same, bowl delivery, as we call it. Can you repeat that? It's the repetition around that as well. So a really good thing to be looking at is like, what is your skill development around that? And I'm going to leave some information down below this video or below this podcast, wherever you hear it, so that you can actually investigate this a bit more. Second one is consistency. And what we mean by consistency is like regular practice. So how often are you actually practicing those specific skills out of your sport? You need to make sure that you're practicing that, because if you're not practicing that, you're not going to be able to perform that better when you're out there in competition or when you're out there playing out on the golf course or even in a training session. If you're not doing the practice for, even your soccer team, for example, specific kicks or whatever, they're not going to perform well when you're actually out on the pitch playing, are they? So you need to make sure that you're focusing on your regular practice, so how consistent you are with that, and also like building that routine. Like, what kind of routine are you going to have in place for what you're doing, and like when you're doing it and what you're working on? Okay, so you need to make sure that that's a big part of what you're doing is your routine around building that consistency in that training and practice. Okay. Fitness and conditioning, so huge thing, huge area. I'm a huge fan of strength resistance training. So important, especially like us women as we get older, right? So I'm 54 recording this. So I'm finding as I'm getting older, I need to make sure I'm focusing even more on strength. What I find is a lot of ladies, especially because I teach them a lot in golf, like a lot of the older ladies tend not to do much around the the strength side of things. And it's really disappointing because as we get older, we lose muscle. So we need to make sure, and we lose strength. So we need to make sure we're really focusing on that, not just for the sport, but just for everyday life. Okay, it's so important. Another thing that we can be focusing on is also the endurance, so that we can maintain the endurance level of whatever that sport that we're playing as well. You need to make sure that you're putting that into place, because if you're out playing a soccer match, I think it's about 90 minutes for a soccer match, or you're playing golf, it's about 4 hours. Even if you're playing a lawn bowls match, it's about 4 hours. So you need to make sure that you have got that endurance in place so that you can perform, so much better in your competition aspects, because you've done the training. So important. Okay, this is a really good one. So we're stepping now into the mental and emotional goals. So mindfulness and focus. So what we want to be doing here is we want to be doing mental rehearsal, we want to be doing meditation, we want to be doing breathing exercises, because all of that type of stuff that we're working on in that area is actually helping us focus better. That's how we develop our focus. People get really annoyed with themselves, should be concentrating, should be doing this, should be doing that. But if you're not doing that in practice, how are you going to be able to do it when you're playing your sport? You can't. Mental rehearsal. So spend some time rehearsing of how you actually want to perform. Right? I have talked about this in a few other episodes as well. It's so important, but make sure that you're connecting the mind and body. So even if you're going into mental rehearsal, you're just closing your eyes, you actually want to physically feel your body doing it. Doesn't mean that they have to actually do the action, but you need to make sure that you're physically feeling it. Because remember, when you're doing mental rehearsal, the mind doesn't know any different, you know, from reality or not, right? So you're preparing the mind going, yep, I've done this before, and the mind's just telling the body what to do, and off the body goes, okay? Positive self-talk. Huge, huge area to make sure that you're focusing on around that mental and emotional goals is you need to be talking to yourself nicely, right? You need to be talking yourself up. I come across so many people that tell me what they do wrong, but they never tell me what they do well. And I find that, my favourite word, befuddled, I find that befuddling because it's almost like people are, like especially women, we're frightened of like what people will think if we talk ourselves up, if we say that we're good at something. You know, so everyone comes in straight away and tells me what they're doing wrong. And it's so important that you're focusing on what you're doing right. Okay, you've got to look at that first. So you want to make sure that you're really focusing on talking yourself up, okay? Another really good one is affirmations. I'm going to do a whole podcast on affirmations for you, but from a sports perspective. So, but positive affirmations, I am a great golfer. I am improving in my soccer every day. I am showing up and I am doing the best serve that I can every day. Whatever it is, right? But you need to make sure that you're talking yourself up. Really important. Gratitude journaling is a really good one as well, as like just being appreciative of what you've got. A lot of us look at what we don't have, but you know, especially where I live here in Australia, I mean, we're so fortunate. You know, we have such a wonderful life here. And it's just to be grateful for what we have, because when we're grateful for what we have, then we're more open to receiving more, okay? It's really how it works. So if you're more grateful for even the opportunity that you get to play the sport and you get to go and practice the sport and you get to train the sport, appreciate it. It's a really good way to approach a better way of performing in your sport. Okay, technical and tactical strategies. So these like game strategies. So, you know, really good thing to be focusing on is tactic drills, so drills that you could simulate, like in practice, that would actually happen when you're out in your competition. Also looking at match analysis, that's a really good one as well, is like when you're actually, you can do it when you could have a practice round, you know, a practice game of some, whatever your sport is, and then you know, going with the mindset that it's an actual game, and then you can review it after how you performed. And then when you are starting to do it that way, you're starting to train yourself on performance, and then so that when you actually go and perform, you're going to perform better. Performance analysis, number 7 is a really good one too. So we could look at, you know, reviewing what's actually going on in your technique and skills through video. It's the perfect way to do that. I've been doing that forever. A lot of people that I teach, I video their swings. Same with my own sports, you know, tennis, golf, bowls, any other sports that I've been playing along the way. Is video analysis is really good, because then you can actually see what's actually going on. So again, it's getting feedback, and then you can talk with your coach on how to improve that, or go and source out a coach and talk about like how you could actually improve that area. Recovery and nutrition, so important. Okay, so I was talking in the previous episode about how important it is for rest and recovery. So we need to make sure that we're focusing on rest, like actually having rest from our sport. We want to make sure that we're focusing on recovery as well, in the sense of focusing on, I like to call it prehab, in the sense of we're focusing on stability areas in our body, so that those smaller muscles that tend to take a beating because they're supporting the bigger muscles, we need to make sure that we're focusing on making sure they're working efficiently, because then the whole body's working efficiently. Stretching, yoga, everything around that active recovery is really, really good for the body. I'm a big fan of ball rolling as well, like having it like a tennis ball or a little cork ball, even a golf ball, and rolling it around. You're rolling around on your body on it. It helps release the muscle tension as well. It's a really, really good one. Nutrition goals. How important is nutrition? So it's getting the right nutrition in for your body. Now, there's so much research out there these days around what you should actually be fueling your body with. Of course, they've got fad diets and so on, but I'm more interested in the sports perspective. But a really good one is protein pacing. So there's a particular amount of protein that we need for our body each time we consume food, and the best way to consume food is usually every 4 hours. That's like the sweet spot. So protein pacing is a really, really good one to implement into your daily regime. I will be talking about that more in further episodes about protein pacing and what to do around that. But that's a really, really important one. And meal preparation, being prepared for your meals. So you're knowing exactly, the amount of protein that you need and what else you need to supplement that also. Hydration is so important too, isn't it? Like, there's so many people that don't hydrate well enough. So again, you can use, obviously, drinking a lot of water is so important, but there's also other supplements out there that can help rehydrate the body for what the body actually needs, so that the body is getting the requirements that it needs, so that that's going to help you perform better. Again, I'll talk about that in a future episode. I've got some great products that I use around hydration that can help you as well when you're performing in your sport. Goal setting, I've talked about that a bit before, and reflecting on those. So setting, long-term, short-term goals, setting process goals, setting little milestones, all of that kind of thing is so, so important, because it gets you then honed in and focused on what you actually need to be doing and what you need to be focusing on. Because I know, like, a lot of people go and practice stuff, for their sport, but they just practice for the sake of practicing versus practicing for purpose. So like when you go and you're doing a session, like, what is it that you're going to practice? What is it you're going to practice? And then what are the things that you're going to be focusing on in that practice, so that you're going to get that outcome that you're looking for from that practice. Okay, it's really important that you really are more detailed in what you're doing around your practice sessions, because, again, it's purposeful practice. Setting daily intentions, really important too. What do you actually want to achieve out of this day, that kind of thing. Focusing on the little wins, that should be a big thing in what you're doing every day, is focusing on the small wins. But setting those intentions on what you want to accomplish, and being, again, around the detail of the purposeful practice is what are you actually wanting to accomplish when you're out there practicing your technique in your sport. So a really good thing, like I like to do, is like not just set an intention for the day, because intention for the day for me is for everything to move freely and easily to me and for me. So I like to have a nice easy day and peaceful day and a happy day and all of that kind of thing. But when I'm actually going out to practice my sport, is like, okay, what's the focus on this session? Right? What's the intention of this session? What do I want to get out of this session? Okay, so you need to make sure that you're really focusing on that. And part of that goal setting is we also need reflection. Okay, really important that we're actually looking at, okay, what's working well, what's not working well, what's worked well throughout the week, how did my training sessions go, did I dedicate enough time to this particular area, did I not dedicate enough time to that particular area, what else is it that I could do to help improve my performance in practice, what else can I do to help improve my performance in competing in a competition, so that you're more clear, what drills could I implement that's going to help that, right? So it's all that awareness around that. So when you reflect and look back at what's worked well and what hasn't, then you can then gauge what you need to do moving forward. And another great thing is just having a weekly review as well. Like, you've set your goals and everything that you want to do throughout the week. Like, actually have a look at what's happened. Did that work well? Did you achieve what you set for yourself throughout that week? Did you get those little wins that you were looking for? Okay, and then you can reset the following week in what you need to do moving forward from the previous week, or you may need to repeat some of the stuff, right? So it's just having that awareness. It's so important, because then you're going to really help improve your sports performance overall. So I hope you enjoyed today's episode. Love it if you could share with me what you like best about what you heard today, and please leave a comment down below wherever you see this or hear this video / podcast. What I'd like you to do now is dream big, believe in you, go after your dreams. Have an awesome day. Take care. Talk soon. Bye for now.